Faith Assembly presents Faith Break. Take a break and build your faith.
And welcome everyone to another episode of Faith Break, where you take a break and build your faith. We are your co-hosts for the next 30 minutes. I am Kevin, and virtually sitting next to me is Brother Moses. I hope everyone is having a great middle of the week. If you didn't know, it is Wednesday. I know time doesn't mean much when you're staying at home 24/7, but it is Wednesday in case you were wondering. Brother Moses, let us know what's going to happen today.
Absolutely. So today we'll be talking with and keeping our focus on the mission field. And we'll be speaking with a couple that's been involved in missions for the last 27 years. They're currently assigned to the Caribbean School of Theology, but they're here in the U.S. and we got a chance to have a fascinating discussion with them. So that's going to be exciting. They shared a view with us of where and how things are progressing in different cities of the world. But we want to shout loud today, Kevin, that God is still God of this city that we're in, the city that is so hard hit. God of this city. Let's bless his name.
Oh, yes, Lord. We honor you today. Give you praise. We magnify you, Lord. You are worthy, you are worthy, you are worthy, Lord. You're the God of this city. You're the King of these people. You're the Lord of this nation. You are. You're the light in this darkness. You're the hope to the hopeless. You're the peace to the restless. You are. There is no one like our God. There is no one like you, God. Greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. Greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done here. You're the Lord of creation, the creator of all things. You're the King above all things. You are. You're the strength in the weakness. You're the love to the broken. You're the joy in the sadness. You are. There is no one like our God. There is no one like you, God. There is no one like our God. There is no one like you, God. Greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. Greater things have yet to come, and greater things have still to be done here.
afternoon, folks. We're in for a delight today. No pun intended. That's how we typically invite you into our session. But absolutely, we're here with Dale and Delight Eytzen, and they are currently serving with the Caribbean School of Theology. Dale is Dean of Undergraduate Studies for the Caribbean School of Technology, theology. Technology is what we really need right now. A mobile faculty providing advanced ministerial training in the extended West Indies, including Guyana and Suriname in South America. Delight has been serving CST as a resource manager, and she gets all the material required by the students, the teachers, etc. Prior to the current deployment and in the mission field for over 26 years, Dale served within the pastorate in Wisconsin and in other areas of the country, Michigan and Louisiana. And they have served in Jamaica, Palau, Guyana, and now the CST, the Caribbean School of Theology. So with that said, let's welcome Dale and Delight to our program today. Welcome, folks.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
It is such a pleasure of ours. So let's start with Dale. Dale, I see all that gray over there, but our folks out here have and looking at you, we cannot comprehend that you are grandparents. Tell us a little about your grandparents and how you're staying in touch right now, your grandchildren rather, and how you're staying in touch.
Yeah, well, it's been great to connect with them by FaceTime, and we had a Zoom meeting a couple days ago, and so it's great. We got two babies. One was born last July and one in December, and so to still be able to see them.
Yeah.
They used to be almost in one place in Springfield, Missouri. Now our oldest son and his family are in Florida, in the Pensacola area. But to see that they're all doing well and the Lord is providing for them, it brings us joy.
Yes.
And we have 8 grandchildren, with one of them in heaven.
Well, it is a great number. God has been good to you and bless you. During this period that we're in right now, we're isolated from so many things. You appear to be isolated from an entire school system, as you're currently in Wisconsin. How are you staying in touch, and what's going on with the Caribbean School of Theology right now? And
yeah, that's a good question. We've been kind of separated for close to a year from our students because we're on this rotation that our missionary group has, where it's normally 4 years on assignment, then 1 year visiting our supporters and reporting back and raising prayer support and generating a new budget. And so we're about 2/3 of our way through that year right now. So this kind of put a pause on things, and we're missing out on a portion of that. But we've been in close contact with our CST team, Caribbean School of Theology team. In fact, just a half hour ago, we were online with the team and sharing what was going on. And it's exciting to see. They've had to adapt and have had to cancel so many courses because of not going overseas. But in a couple of instances, they've been doing some video conferencing to live stream classes anyway. And this one time they decided to do a special class that would include multiple nations at once. So this is the first time they've done really a multinational approach. And one of the reasons we haven't done that is because virtually every country we go to is on a different track. Some have their own training program of 1 to 3 years, and we just work to supplement what they have. But now in this case, they decided to do a marriage and family class and open it up to everybody at once. And so they've had the largest class they've ever had before. They had 86 students doing the course for credit and another 20 auditing the course. And they just have 3 more nights to go on that. But it's, and a couple of, instead of just one teacher, 2 other members have joined in to do part of the teaching and part of the grading. And so it's been a cooperative effort, and exciting to see the response and the hunger for people still to be involved in this stream of ministry training.
Yeah, and it appears as if the subject matter being taught is quite appropriate for the moment, since so many families are going through additional stresses during this period of being, confined to quarters, not being able to be outside. It appears as if the ministers who will be trained would have quite a lot of work to do, in right now and going into the future. So it seems to be such an appropriate course for the group. Delight, can you give us a little more insight into the structure of this course, what it's like, what it covers? Or is that something better for Dale to cover for you?
I think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we have some materials that we used called Faith in Action, and it's written by missionaries for an international take on things, because we don't want to just have a narrow stateside view of what marriage and family looks like. So basically, it's looking at the biblical concept of marriage and
family,
and partnership within that, and especially to enable the students not only for practical help in their own families, but to give truly a biblical foundation for counseling right where they're at, and apply it in their own way.
No, that's great. So as Dean, are you seeing something here that might cause you to want to do a lot more of these online and cross-country sort of programs?
Yes. We've been thinking about it for a while, and actually have been doing it for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years in Jamaica. And we've done some in Guyana. We've done some with the graduate studies. In fact, there was one class, it was a small class, but one of the students had to return. It was a worker that had been serving and doing some help in Suriname. She had to return to India, but she joined in on that class also through the live streaming, doing the course at 4 o'clock in the morning. So they've done a little bit with these international audiences. But again, the challenge for us is in scheduling. It's difficult in most cases to find courses that everybody needs on the same track. But especially as we're hoping to bring a few new sites on stream also. We had some good contacts a while back with the conference in Trinidad, and there may be some new ones. And if we can get those starting on the same track, it'll be easier to do the multinational thing. The biggest adaptation when we're doing live streaming is to understand what's the most appropriate way to do exams, and now the grading of papers. For a long time, the students have been turning in through email and that kind of thing. And so we've been doing that for a while, making adjustments, but this is just kind of taking us to a whole nother level and causing us to think, we need to think of a way we can streamline things to potentially do multiple nations at a time. And I think we're going to be seeing more of that. It's pushing us a little bit further and a little bit faster than we had intended, but we think it is time to do that.
So that's something good to come out of this, for sure. Delight, you have a history with Guyana that not everybody may be aware of. That we haven't seen you in a bit and spoken to you. Why don't you share a little bit of that? And I think you also speak a little Guyanese.
It's been a while. It's mixed up Guyanese, Jamaican, kind of goes together. My parents went to Guyana when I was 15 months old, and going from cold Wisconsin down to Guyana, and
By
that
way
was
of New York.
by the way of New York. Yeah, caught the plane in New York to, and island had island hop anyway.
Yep.
And that was in January of 1959, and so we were there for actually the first 10 years of my life, and almost 11 years. And so, yeah, I grew up there. My brother Daniel was born in Georgetown at the Seventh-day Adventist Hospital, and that was
Yeah, real connection with the Caribbean, right?
definitely.
You've lost the accent, but yes,
I know. Yeah, it's actually, going from, when we were in Louisiana, they would say that, oh, you're from either Wisconsin or Michigan. I'm like, oh, I didn't have an accent.
No. But you have to be international. Dale, share with us a little bit about the Caribbean School of Theology. Just overall, its mission, its vision. What it's all about.
Yeah, our main theme, we use the same initials, CST, to say connect and serve and train. We don't want to just be involved in conveying information. There's plenty of places that do that, and you can get that over the internet. But we want to train our pastors and church workers to be relational and to really connect with people, and to be adequately trained to work within their own environment. And even though we do a lot of travel, crossing boundaries and borders, we say God is calling you to do the same thing, because you are qualified, and God will open up opportunities for you that we will never have. And so we can never really tell where the effect will never end. It's a ripple effect that goes on. And we know that our greatest work is not just to go and do ministry for them when we go visit them, but
right,
help them to grow in ministry. And that's when the work begins to really multiply. Right. So we are a mobile faculty. We do mostly 2 and 3 week intensive seminars. Most of our students are working full-time jobs during the day, and then come in for about 3.5 to 4 hours of class each night. And we give them lots of work to do, pre-course work and sometimes post-course work. And the students all tell us CST really means can't sleep tonight.
Well, that's good. That's good. So, Kev, I see you're almost forming a question there. So if you have one, do let me know. But a follow-up question. One of the fallouts of COVID right now is serious and significant unemployment, and people are losing their jobs, and so cash flow will be an issue. I know you're 2/3 of the way, you said, through your round of deputation, and so there's this gap now. What are your thoughts and your plans in terms of how you may need to work to make that up?
Yeah, well, the Lord is faithful and always supplies. So we're not exactly sure what everything's going to look like. Here in Wisconsin, after another month, we may be able to have services again. We've lost about 2 months of services canceled, but some of them have made up for it in different ways. 2 of them we were able to reschedule for in July and August, but we don't have any openings beyond that. And in September, we've got to get back to our CST base and get active in that, although we'll be able to do some occasional services with people. But one of our churches where we were scheduled, they sent us a generous offering anyway, even without
That's great. That is
a narrated PowerPoint so that people could at least have an update on what we're doing and general sense of that. And another church from a week ago, they took, I also sent them a narrated PowerPoint to give a basic update, and they played that along with their live streaming of their service, and then they posted it on YouTube. And so we're very grateful. We've had some response already from individuals that watch that, and some support that's come in that way. Plus, the church is going to take what they received as a result. And so
Yeah.
it hasn't been a total cutoff, but it's been an adjustment, and there
There's
has
been an impact. Yes. No,
Yeah.
Delight, you were saying something.
I said, yeah, that we're just thankful what has come in already, and
Yes.
helped us a lot. But yeah,
just this is a little bit of a disconnect from that, but as far as cut off from the flow, we've got some missionary colleagues that moved into, we're presently living in and renting a missionary apartment that was just built this last year
yep, this place
by
right
our district and
Nice.
our district. It's a fourplex, and part of it's used for the campground normally, but they reserved one apartment for missionaries. But right now there's a missionary family that's in one of the other units. Turns out that they were living and serving in China, but then they'd gone to Thailand for a conference, a regional missionary conference. But then when all of this broke out, they couldn't return
Right.
to China, so they returned stateside, and they are really in limbo. It's difficult to schedule services with churches here locally, not knowing how long this will go on, and cut off. In fact, we've got a prayer request for them, and that they just received notice days ago that the place they're renting in China, the man said, we cannot afford to keep this place anymore. We have to sell it, so you have to get all your things out.
Oh no, and they're not there.
Things
Wow.
are there. They aren't there, and so how did they get their goods out? Where do they find another place? And
Yeah. No, our heart goes out to everyone who's in the mission field. Everyone is impacted in different ways, and some in extremely drastic ways, such as being cut off from their base in that way. I think one of the questions I have in my mind about the Caribbean School of Theology, and maybe it's just something to throw out there, is that some of the folks who work during the day and attend school at night may come to a place where financially that might be a difficult thing. So I'm sure even as a school entity, you will have to begin to think about how you finance those education going forward.
We've had a church that gave towards scholarship and sponsorship. Churches have been doing that, and which we're really thankful for.
So we may need to develop that into things much more.
Yeah.
And as far as this current class in marriage and family, CST has put that one out for totally free for the students. And so we're making that effort at this time, and we've got to take it a step at a time and see where.
Yeah, I think it all speaks to the fact that churches got to continue to be missionally minded, regardless of what happens, even if they have to make adjustments. But we gotta just keep focus on continuing to support the mission field, because there's such a need out there, and it will become even more bigger as we go forward, I believe. So while the source is our Father in heaven, the church is the avenue, and we gotta just keep reaching out. We're so delighted to be having this conversation, but Dale, if you don't mind, speak some words of exhortation into our audience today, some words of comfort.
Well, it's such a blessing to serve the Lord and to have His peace rule in our hearts and reign in our hearts. It makes such a difference. Now, I can't imagine the pain and the suffering and the challenge that many are going through, but it helps me to know that I can say with utmost confidence that there is no panic in heaven. And He has ways of drawing from unexpected sources. And one of the scripture passages I've been encouraging and exhorting our churches with is using the story of the Good Samaritan. And I hope that I can come your way in person and share more in detail about that. But God has a way of breaking stereotypes and even who He wants to use in a way to reach out to other people. With the Good Samaritan, he might have been thought to be the one that should be pitied, but he took the the initiative to reach out to somebody else. And so we have to understand that sometimes we think we are the disadvantaged one, but still the gospel must go from all people to all people. And so we have to be willing for God to break the stereotypes that we have of how these things are going to work out. But ultimately, our passion is for to raise up disciples. And evangelism sometimes is short-term, and discipleship does not exclude evangelism. It starts with that. It's all about obeying the Great Commission, which is about teaching and learning the culture of the cross and taking that cross culturally. So it's cross culture in every sense of the word.
That's right.
But just to share one quick testimony, one of our colleagues working in Central America, we heard a testimony from Kendra Doubt working in Nicaragua. And in March, she was contacted by other missionaries from another organization, saying, "Can you help us? We've got this shipment that has come through, and we're looking for somebody that has contacts that can help us get this through." And they found out that somebody had been on a missions team, had visited Nicaragua, and was touched, sensing the Lord prompting them to put together a shipment of medical supplies. This was back in the fall of November of 2015. And it took a few years for them to put everything together, to fund it and to ship it. And finally, in August of last year, it reached Nicaragua. But then it got stuck through customs. There were so many details. They didn't have proper documentation. And they said it got listed as, well, that it couldn't go through for some reason. And they said, oh, that place, that was undocumented. And so it's with the abandoned material and it's up for auction. They tracked it down. They said, well, it was supposed to go out for auction, but it's still here. And they brought it in. They were able to make the right contacts, get it through. And here there were medical supplies with 980, almost 1,000 cases of material, including exam tables, 50,000 medical face masks,
just in time,
gloves, face protectors, hospital gowns, exam tables, ICU beds, nebulizers, IV poles, oxygen concentrate monitors, and more.
God is good.
Through just at the time when it was needed.
Yeah.
God knew how complex the situation would be, what the obstacles would be, but again, there's no panic in heaven. God sees where you are, and he cares about you, and he will send you what you need when you need it. And it's just a joy to be in the process.
Yeah, that's a great word of encouragement. There's no panic in heaven. I love that. We should label that all over the place. You know, we may be panicking here on earth, and we may have some anxiety and stress, but certainly heaven is in control, and God is in control. So thank you so much for those words of advice, comfort, encouragement, inspiration. We do appreciate it. We appreciate the time we've spent together with you today. It's been a delight, and we hope that we can drop in again at some point. You know, I do use that word quite often. we hope we can drop in, you know, on you sometime again, just to see how things are progressing. And we certainly will keep you in mind as you prepare to head back out there in September. And hopefully, you know, we can be a part of that process with you. May God richly bless you, keep you, cause his face to shine upon you. Thank you so much for being here.
So much. God bless you.
God bless.
Wow, what a great conversation. I want to say we had, but it was mostly you there, Brother Moses. But you know, one of the things that they said that I thought was so important is that there's no panic in heaven right now.
Yeah.
I mean, for God to ordain certain things to happen in Nicaragua, that from 2015 to now, that they would have equipment available, ready to go, you know, there is no panic in heaven. And I think for a lot of us, as we hear the news reports, and whether, you know, it's getting better or it's getting worse, I think we need to remember that God is in control, and if he's not panicked, then we shouldn't be panicked.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's for sure. So talking about panic and maybe some of the impact that we're experiencing during this period. Tonight, during our Bible study and prayer time that begins at 7:45 online using Zoom, we will be dealing with the subject of depression and sadness during this period of this pandemic, especially focused on outcomes and how we handle these possible outcomes of depression, sadness, loneliness, and it promises to be a great time of blessing. So I want to invite everyone who's listening to come on over to Zoom tonight and be a part of that great service.
And that's tonight at 7:45, right?
7:45.
Yeah. Don't want to just come on at 5 o'clock and wonder what's going on there. That's tonight at 7:45, and then before we wrap up, we just want to remind everyone that we have our prayer service tonight, and we have our Bible study tomorrow night as well with the pastor, and we hope to see everyone tomorrow because we are out of time once again. So we say, God bless, stay safe, and we will see you tomorrow.
Good day, folks.
For more information, please visit our website at faithassemblychurch.org. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Faith Assembly NY. This is Faith Assembly signing off.